Want to write better poetry? Well, you better start listening. In this episode, we're going to talk about how listening, yes, listening, which is perfect for a podcast, can help make you a better poet. Joining me today is my husband, Malibu Poet Laureate Emeritus, Nathan Hassall. So grab a cup of tea and listen up, poet, as we're about to get into it. Well, it's interesting because now I'm bringing my attention to listening. And when we learn to pay attention, when we learn to focus, it can help improve our observations and thus maybe our ability to extract imagery and metaphors.
Yeah, and there's different ways of listening, and we can kind of like look from, okay, there's you hear things, but you're not necessarily attending to them. There's all this background noise, and some people treat other people's words as almost akin to background noise. Yeah, I've got something more important to say. And then you have, and I mean, I physically feel myself like, okay, I'm starting to attune more to it. My head tilts. I think of it, if you are lying down in grass and you can look at the distant grass and then you just focus on one blade that's near you, you see how it all comes into focus. You can do that with your ear, and you tilt it and you kind of like, you pick the sounds out like properly. And to listen properly is to bring the sound in, but bring the meaning in as well. Mm-hmm. So when you are speaking, it's like you're not just saying words, or you're not just saying things that I need to like leap over to speak about. I'm like waiting so that it goes in, so that I can say something that is related, that resonates with what you're saying, and then hopefully allows you to resonate back.
Yeah, I think with that too, it's, you know, a lot of the impetus of this episode is Nathan and I have a big pet peeve about people not being the best listeners. And often we'll encounter people where it feels like they maybe don't ask any follow-up questions, or it doesn't seem like they've heard what we've said. And of course, this can be an issue of confidence as well for some people, feeling like they're empowered and able to ask a question. But I think the same applies in poetry. When you're asking questions like, maybe why is the subject of my poem doing this? Why are they moving like that? Why are they traveling down this path, or whatever that may be? When you're inquisitive and curious as well, that also means you're paying attention and you're listening.
Yeah, and curiosity is absolutely key. And the way in which training how you listen helps make you a better poet is because you're using the stuff of the world, of the senses, of the internal, of the emotions of other people, and of narrative. To understand these things requires attending to these things. You can listen to a tree. You think that you can't? Well, trees go, they kind of, and they creak, like an old ship. Leaves rustle as things run through them. A bird might fly out and a branch drops. It's like you can listen to objects in the world as well as people. The more that you do that, the more that you attend to it, the more rich your experience of it, the more rich you can make the language in your poems, because you are writing out of a place of attending.
So let's unpack attending a little bit more for people. So what are some real life ways that you can learn to be a better attendant of the world around you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say you start with, okay, let's pick out a sound in our environment. We're walking past a river. Okay, the river is there. I know it's there. So I'm going to face the river. I'm going to walk close to the river. Okay, I'm going to look at the way that it's rushing over rocks, all the different white and the see-through and the bubbles. And I'm going to listen. Okay, how many sounds are actually making up this one roaring? Well, there's like some splashes happening here. There's a whirlpool-like thing here. There's like a gentle sound over there. You start picking out the individual bits that comprise the whole. So if you're really paying attention, more starts revealing itself to you. And then you also then can open what I'm going to call your imaginal ear, which is like your imagination, but the auditory side of it. And then you can say, what is this? This is the questioning. What is this telling me about itself, the river, and me as the observer of the river? Now you're entering a dialogue with something in the world that maybe isn't even human. What that tells you, you write down. I'm sure you'll find something that you will have never found before.
Oh, I love that. I think it made me think as well about when you strengthen your listening, how you can strengthen the imagery in your own poems. So you mentioned the bubbles, the sound maybe the bubble makes, the whirlpool, and really hearing the rushing of that water. Nathan and I were talking about this the other day about the different ways that I construct a poem versus how Nathan constructs a poem. So for me, and what your example reminded me of was that I often will maybe start with the more cliche or the more like obvious, so to speak, of like, so if it's in the river example, it's, what maybe a cliche of talking about a river is that it's a river rushes, right? A brook babbles. So maybe I'll use those words as a placeholder until I can think of a more unique way of expressing those sounds in the poem. So, thinking about the different ways that, the water is hitting the rocks and really sitting with it and thinking about it. What's a unique way that I can describe that sound and then strengthen my image in the poem because of that? What do you think?
Yeah, this is a great question to ask yourself. And, I'm thinking of in terms of dialogue still as well. And again, even how we attend and have conversation. If you see the world as a dialogue, you're not just impressing what you feel onto it, you're also letting it express itself towards you. You're in simpatico. You understand it better. I understand you better if I listen, and if I choose to find, joy or comfort or resonance with what it is that you're saying. So even with you speaking about how you write poems, I'm led to think about John Dallamin, I believe his name is, a drummer for System of a Down, who said the first drum beat that I come up with when I'm trying to put a drum track down for a song is a drum beat that anyone could come up with. So he starts with a cliche drum beat, and then he starts adding his technique, his flair, his experience into the drum beat so that it becomes unique and it's like his signature. So what you're doing is great. You placeholders are brilliant. You kind of know where you want to go. You just don't know exactly how to get there yet. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a great way of writing.
Thank you. I like to start with that idea and then come back and look at it and try to make it as unique as I can. I think it's important on this topic as well, while we're talking about listening, is also in your speaking. So when you give other people the opportunity to listen to you better, listen to your poetry better, it can improve that dialogue, that relationship as well. So Nathan's done a whole course with neuroscience researcher Mark Waldman called How Poetry Changes Your Brain. And one of the things that they discuss is poetic communication. And a lot of that involves slowing down your speech. I can't tell you how many times we've been at an open mic and people will talk too fast and it doesn't allow people to take in your imagery or listen to you very well. So, if you give others the opportunity to listen to you better as well through purposeful pauses in your speech, in your poetry, you can improve the audience's listening. And maybe you'll hear in your own poetry as you're saying it out loud areas that you need to maybe work on, improve if you're reading them even to yourself. So that came to my mind.
Yeah, and also in you're doing it right now, it's melody. When I'm talking, let's get meta for a second. I'm going to break the fourth wall. When I'm talking right now into the microphone, I'm showing prosody and melody. Let's look at two examples. We'll start with the one that is less engaging. If I'm trying to tell you that poems are very beautiful and I'm so passionate about the poem. Example two, I want to tell you how beautiful I find poems and that I'm really passionate about it. Notice how my voice kind of does this. Again, you can bring that into your poem. Obviously, you risk melodrama, and we're always at risk of melodrama by going too over the top. But doing enough of that, it's like, okay, it gives the ear something interesting to pay attention to so that you're not background. So good listening also relies on a speaker to be a good speaker. So it's like it's a two-way thing. You need to communicate best, by speaking, but also communicate best by listening.
So true. And comes back to that idea of it being a dialogue. And just another thing to pay attention to in that, I would also be mindful to try your best to avoid that dreaded poetry voice, which I think we all know if you've been to an open mic and you hear kind of, it is somewhat monotonous, but it has a very similar pace of, we've done examples on it in our confessional poetry video about what exactly that sounds like. So maybe watch that video after this one if you're interested in learning more about that. But learning to speak and listen more deliberately, I think, can take your poetry a really long way.
Totally. And, you cannot expect to express yourself well in language if you cannot listen well. Like poetry is listening. You have to pay attention. You have to listen to something that's deeper within you. If you're only listening to the shallow thoughts, your poems are going to be shallow. You want to get down deep into the well. You want to get into the gut and the heart and the sinews and the muscle and all the different parts of yourself and also the world around you. You really want to pay attention to how you react and respond and how you translate all of that. Translation is listening. If you don't listen, how can you translate? And you have to put it into language.
I think that's all really, really amazing. Really, really, really.
You're really, 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 really amazing.
I think that's all really amazing advice, Nathan. So I have one more question for you, Nathan. But before I do, I just want to say if you haven't already joined our mailing list, you can do so at www.thepoetryvessel.com/sign up. It's totally free and we'd love to have you there. Now, for my last question. If we were to leave listeners with one practical takeaway for how to improve your listening to become a better poet, what would you say to people?
My main takeaway is to listen more than you speak. And when you are listening properly and with the fullest faculties that you possibly have, you will get the most enriching experience from others and the world around you. And hopefully you can transcribe that into poems.
Yes, that was so well put, Nathan. And of course, as always, we'd love to hear what you think. So let us know in the comments below, and we will see you next time. Oh, and don't forget to click this playlist if you enjoyed this video to watch more. Or maybe it's here.